Look, I opened this jar of rotten baby food, and well, a butterfly came out.
I would say what I don't want you to know about me is I really don't think I'm funny.
You don't want me to know that?
I don't want anyone to know that. I want everyone to think that I'm
To,
funny, but I don't want
to
them to
think
know
that
that I
you
don't
think
think.
that, right. Welcome to Comedians and Elevators podcast. I've got my guest, Justin Strack. Justin, say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Justin Strack, voice actor for about a year now, and I've been in the building industry for about 20 years. Always been a big fan of comedy.
You said the building industry?
The building industry, yep, that's kind of what's paid the bills for most of my life.
All right, you're building the bills. Awesome. Well,
Exactly.
so you ready to get started, Justin?
Yeah.
Listen, to my regular listeners, I know you don't like when at the beginning of these conversations I ask you to subscribe. None of us like it. I don't like saying it. I don't like it being in here. But it's frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? It's also frustrating when I look in the back end of the YouTube channel and I see that 56% of you that watch frequently haven't yet subscribed. And I know this because I see it in the comments section. You say things like, I didn't know I didn't subscribe. And that's actually what fuels the show. Basically, it's like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask all the time, because it enables us to build and build and build. And we're going for the long term here. Hit the subscribe button and we'll continue to build this show for you. That's my promise. Thank you to all you guys that do subscribe. It means the world to me.
Awesome. All right. So the whole point of the podcast is to compare and contrast the comic versus the comedian. So I
Mhm.
define the comic as any person telling funny jokes versus the comedian who's a funny person telling any joke. So, Justin, would you
Mhm.
agree that you start as a comic and evolve into a comedian?
Yeah, actually, I do. I think that's a great way to put it.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, ready for the first question?
Yeah.
All right, so it's about the role of persona in comedy. So, how much of the comedian's voice is a character versus the real self?
Oh man, it's a good question. I think it really depends on who's performing, you know. A lot of them kind of build their own persona based around their comedy. And I think a
Hmm.
lot of them take their own personal experiences um, and build off of that. I think it's very, very specific.
All right, so then does authenticity matter or is illusion part of the magic?
Oof. Uh, my training would say authenticity is important in everything. Um, but a lot of comedians, I think illusion plays a big
Okay,
role.
okay. So then how about punching up versus punching down? So where do comics versus comedians subscribe to this? And let me put it in some historical context. Did a
Sure.
jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
Oh man. I've been thinking about this one. I feel I feel like the comedian I think plays a bigger role with punching up versus punching down. Um,
Okay.
just myself. Um, again, very specific. Depends on what's their routine, who's their audience, you know.
So, but that's not answering the question. So let's put it this way. Is criticizing dead people considered punching down?
I feel like a general consensus would be yes.
Okay.
Uh, you know, for say those of us who uh, have a sense of dark humor, maybe
Right.
we might not think that's the case. We might think it's
Right.
fair game.
So that would be you or no?
Yes, very much
Okay.
so me.
All right. So is the audience agreement with the comedian a form of permission or alignment?
Mm, I feel like that'd be a form of, well, feel like maybe it could be both.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
You
yeah,
know,
you're definitely two
in a
sides of
way.
the same coin. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So then how about a cultural translation of comedy? So how do jokes that work in one country bomb in another?
Mm. See, I feel like that's a tough one. You know, like you said, very very much dependent on the culture. Um,
Mhm.
there's a lot of comedy that say works here just because of how diverse our culture is. You know, we're made up of a bunch of different cultures coming together, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same can be said, you know, over in Europe in a lot of places where,
But they don't come together, or do they?
right. Um, but still a lot of them, there's still a lot there. Whereas you go, say, uh, more Middle East over further to Asia, it's more very one culture centric, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So
So
then
I think
how
it
does, right? Are you saying that the traveling salesman is going to get lost along the way?
could be, could
All
be.
right.
It depends on which door he knocks on, right?
That's right. So then how does the silence when your joke doesn't land hurt? Physically, emotionally, morally, or spiritually?
Mm, depends on who's delivering, right? I think I don't know about physically, but maybe spiritually and emotionally, that's
Mm-hmm.
probably got to hurt. Um, you know, you a lot of people pour their souls into their craft and put so much effort and so much of themselves into it. I think that yeah, if something doesn't land like that and you get hit with dead silence, um, it's you know, it's really gotta kind of hit you right in the heart sometimes.
Right. So are comics more universal while comedians are more culturally specific?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Um,
Beady, beady, beady.
I feel, yeah, like, you know, anybody can be a comic, right? You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
anybody who tells jokes. So that's a great way to put it. You know, whereas the comedian is going to probably be very much defined by their surroundings, you know, what they've experienced.
Right. So speaking of experience, how about love and justice? So is the highest function of comedy to expose injustice or to make people feel less alone while living with it?
Ooh. I really feel like it's both, especially in today's day and age. Um,
Okay.
you hear a lot of comedy being used to, say, combat the injustices going on right now. A lot of the
Mm-hmm.
things that people feel are wrong with the world. But on the same, you know, same token, uh, it's helping a lot of people cope and feel okay, you know, feel
Yeah.
reassured.
Yeah. I mean, where it's all about you gotta be assured. So how about when a joke harms someone unintentionally? Does love demand accountability or does justice demand defiance?
Mm. Thinking in today's scene, I feel like love demands accountability. I
Okay.
think, uh, especially with, you know, cancel culture and everything that has kind of shifted in the last 5 or so years.
Right.
Um, I think that's become a lot more prevalent.
I would 100% agree with you on that one. So very important question, advertising and self-promotion. So who advertises
Mhm.
themselves more? The comic, the comedian, or the magician?
You know that place where you're not conscious and you're not sleeping either? That's your power bill to the electric company. Right here. I want us to be here with free energy, where the Wardenclyffe Tower meets the Eiffel Tower. But that's not where we are. We are here, where you've got the utility, Then you've got residential solar. Between these two, we know which one saves you money. This is where we can go in the meantime. But this is where I want us to be now, and this can be done now. So let me deputize you to represent DOSE, Department of Solar Efficiency, and let's get on the podcast to get the message out today. See you soon.
Ooh, that's a good one. Ah, I'm partially trying to think about the advertising I've seen. You know, I
Right.
think comedians do the most advertising. You know, they're
Okay.
trying to build their brand, so to speak.
Right. So then what don't you want me to know about you?
Mm.
You
Uh,
didn't prepare for that one, did you?
I was trying to. I was trying to. I would say what I don't want you to know about me is I really don't think I'm funny.
You don't want me to know that?
I don't want anyone to know that. I want everyone to think that I'm
Th-
funny, but I don't want
To
them to
think
know
that
that I
you
don't
think
think
that, right.
I don't find myself funny. I'm
Okay.
my own worst critic.
Okay. So you don't want us to know that you think that about yourself.
Right. I want
So
to keep the illusion.
okay, fair enough. The blind spot that you don't that you know that you know that you don't know that you know there's a blind spot. I'll figure that one out. So right. So censorship and
Yeah.
offense. So does a comic avoid offense while a comedian courts it to prove a point, like a magician?
Ooh. Yes. Yes, I think comedians absolutely court it. I think they push the envelope, to be honest with
Hmm.
that. Um, Especially a lot of comics, you know, just in today.
Right.
Some of the greats definitely did it, you know, George Carlin, Richard Pryor. But I feel like a lot of them today are really pushing that envelope again.
So then who survives better in the cancel culture environment? The comic, the comedian, the magician, or the mudslinger?
Oh man. I don't think the mudslingers are doing too good, to be honest. I think people are kind of sick of that. Um, I think the comic survives better
Okay.
just because they have a more all around sense of funny.
All right. So timing and delivery, is it a science or an
Hmm.
art?
I got to say both. Uh, again, very much dependent on the presenter. Um, but you know what? There are a lot of people that there is a science to it. They time their jokes a certain way. They feed off the audience reaction. You know, they workshop.
Mhm.
Um, so, and now I lost my own train of thought.
Well, don't let us know that you know that we know that you know that you don't know.
Right.
So speaking of train of thought, so do comics rely more on structure and comedians more on rhythm and emotion?
Hmm. I almost would feel like for me, I feel like the comedians rely more on structure because they're the ones that are kind of building up a set, you know?
Mhm.
They're the ones that are really workshopping and building their performance. Um, on that same point, they use the rhythm too, right? Because they're
Mhm.
workshopping, they're feeding off the audience and how the what reactions they get.
Right. So speaking of reaction, so laughter versus applause. So are comics chasing laughs and comedians chasing applause breaks or a primetime Emmy that validate the message?
Mm. See, that's when I'm not sure. I feel like they would be chasing They would all be chasing the laughs, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and for some reason, I can't picture them really going after the applause or like you said, or like an Emmy. Um, maybe the larger ones that are that's all they are, you know.
Mhm.
That's their entire thing. They don't branch out. They don't diversify their portfolio, I guess we could say.
Okay. We can go with that. So how about comedy as commentary? So when does a comedian
Mhm.
cross into being a philosopher or a preacher?
Ooh, I think I think when they start delving into current events,
Hmm.
I think that's kind of the bridge, you know, when they start getting into current events, um, and all the, let's say, touchy subjects,
Hmm.
current events, religion. Um, I feel like that's when a lot of people kind of start to feel that, yeah, that's now they're getting preachy, you know, now they're giving their take on everything, um, and it's becoming less about comedy, you know.
So then is truth treasure in heaven?
Ooh, yeah, I would think so. I would
You
think
would
it's
hope
all
so.
about truth, right? Yeah, no kidding. I think
Right.
I think we could all hope so.
All right. So Justin, are you ready to enter the multiverse?
Sure.
All right. So board game Zoomcast, play versus performance. So you have to choose an avatar. So if comedy
Okay.
were a board game Zoomcast, are you competing as the colorist avatar, adding tone, mood, and shading, or the Foley artist avatar, building punchlines with soundscapes and timing?
Mm. I'm sorry, I already blanked on what it was called, but the first one.
Okay. Colorist. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so then does comedy work better when it's painted vividly or when it's orchestrated sonically?
Hmm. Being such a fan of comedy myself and seeing so many different avenues of it, I really think it's both, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I think I think you need all of it.
All right. So, here on the Comedians and Elevators podcast, we have a tradition where the previous
Mm,
guest asks a question for the next guest. And the previous
okay.
guest was Sandra Hale. And her question for you, Justin, is if someone close to you gave you an ultimatum and said that you have to stop doing comedy, would you do it?
Mm, no, absolutely not.
No.
Uh, co comedy is how I cope. Um,
Ah,
you
comedy is
know,
cope. Hmm.
I I think that's probably true for a lot of people, especially today. But yeah, for me myself, no, comedy's life. You know, it's what keeps me going. It's what keeps me from getting too weighed down.
Hmm. No, that's but we also don't want to fly away, right? So if you
Right.
can, would the drama do that?
Ooh,
Would the drama weigh you down and now you have to let go of it and then you float away?
absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. Legacy. Who gets remembered? Will the comics Type 5 survive time or will the comedian's cultural point of view be more timeless?
Mm. I feel like the Type 5 is probably more memorable. Um, I feel the other just gets kind of drowned out, you know,
Hmm.
with history and everything that goes on, the ebbs and flows of comedy and just how things change and move on. Um, I think the Type 5, I think that's what sticks. I think that's what they're remembered for.
Okay. So where can everybody find you online, Justin?
Um, I actually just launched my website.
All right.
So I can be found on LinkedIn. My website is in my, I believe it's in my bio. If it's not, it's voiceactor.com/site/JustinStrackVO.
All right. Awesome. Well, Justin, thank you so much for being my guest. And for everyone, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.
If you're interested in too much information like in the network state or Mantipus the chicken shit, check out this video. Or is it this one right here? Well, either way. Lizard.